Hari Om. Let's start with the prayer. Om Samasta Jana Kalyani Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsachanora Mardhanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Tvameva Mata Cha Pita Tvameva Tvameva Bandhuscha Sakha Tvameva Tvameva Vidya Dravidam Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Amadeva Deva Tvameva Sarvam Gurudeva Deva. We are looking at the fundamentals of Advaita Vedanta, and this is a talk number 8, and in that subsection, and we said it is based on the Gita statement of Lord Krishna that it is the karma responsible for creation. Even though under his direction the Maya is creating, Prakriti is Suryate Sacharacharam. The next statement is it is the karma that is causing for all the varieties of creation. So what's the relation between karma and a Maya has to come into picture, and we said karma is because I am performing an action. So why do I perform an action? So whenever I perform an action with an egocentric attitude that I am a doer, or means kartrutva bhavam is there, that doership notion is there, and when I perform an action with that notion, then at an individual level I accumulate vasanas. This we went through, and the vasana will propel me to perform an action again if I like it, or avoid the action if I don't like it. So why do I perform an action? Why do I perform an action? Because I want to be happy. So remember again the whole logic again. Why you want to perform any action? Because I want to be happy. When the result is going to be conducive, expecting the result to be conducive to my likes, I perform an action thinking that it will give me happiness. And therefore all actions or avoidance of actions, either pravrutti or nivrutti, I perform an action or I try not to perform an action. That's also an action. Not doing is also an action. Kartum sekyum, agartum sekyum, aneda kartum sekyum. I have no choice. Either exercising not to use a choice is also a choice, and therefore I am accountable for whatever I do. And Krishna says, Nahikachit Kshanamapi Jadu Tushtasya Karma Kritu. Not even a second anybody can remain without performing an action. Life itself is an action. And whenever I perform an action with an egocentric attitude, then I am getting a result. Therefore, Krishna gave Karma Yoga, where you perform an action without the egocentric attitude. That means I perform an action as an offering to the Lord. With that attitude, it becomes a Karma Yoga. So all that we discussed a little bit, but essentially, I perform an action because I want to be happy. That means I have decided that I am not happy as I am. Therefore, I want to perform an action so that result will make me more happy. So if you go into Google and ask for what is happiness or what cause of source of happiness, you get varieties of peoples depending upon their vasanas and their understanding what causes happiness. But what causes happiness is absolutely when I am having what I want, then I am happy. Whatever that want is. And if my wants keep growing, as the more I get and I want more and more and more, and this is also part of the problem. So fulfilling the wants may give me happiness, but it gives you more wants, and I come to a situation where I can solve the problem, because the more I want, the more it becomes. That's what we call it bandhakatvam. That means I depend upon something other than myself for my happiness, and I became a slave, and that's bondage. Therefore, what is freedom? What is that? Means I had to recognize that analysis wise, that happiness doesn't come from outside, happiness comes from my own self. That means I am Ananda Swarupam. I am of the nature of happiness myself. That has to be recognized, because anytime I am happy with anything, because I am now satisfied, that means the mind is now agitationless, because it's calm and quiet, since it is no more longing or no more wanting or no more desiring in those few seconds seconds when it is desire is satisfied. Therefore, I am back to myself. Therefore, happiness is coming from my own self. If happiness is coming from my own self, why am I searching for everywhere? And happiness is nothing but infiniteness, limitless alone. I'll be completely happy. Any limitations will cause suffering. All this logically, if you analyze, I'll be happy, completely full, only when I gain the whole universe itself. That means I become like I am the owner of the entire universe. That means I am the Adhishtanam, Brahman himself. Infinite alone will give me a limitless happiness, and that's called Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, which is same as Satchit, Anandam. Anantam, Anandam. Infiniteness alone is happiness, and that's what essentially I am looking for. I won't get the way I'm going. That's a separate issue, because any finite things will not make me infinite, but I cannot stop going because I want to be happy. So the cause for the going after the action or doing action, since karma is responsible for my birth, and the karma is due to ignorance that I am already happy by myself, not knowing it, I am going forward, doing performance of an action. Therefore, the root cause for action is ignorance of myself. I am the very source of happiness. That's the root cause. So therefore, if you look at logically, the ignorance become a basis for karma. So ignorance, karma is a child of the ignorance. If I realize that I am full by myself, then I don't need anything else to fool me, because I am already full. So I don't need any drive for action is not there. And if at all I do out of fullness, is only out of compassion to help others also. So therefore, a wise person performs an action not for his own sake, but for the sake of the totality, which is same as the Brahman, or the same as Ishvara. Says essentially, Ishvara himself is using the local equipment available for the benefit of Ishvara. Ishvara is total. Therefore, now we went, Krishna said, karma is responsible. And then also he said, Maya is the one who is giving. So we had to equate all these things. He says karma is coming from ignorance. So root cause for karma is ignorance, and root cause for creation is Maya. So ignorance and Maya seems to be related. That seems to be the logic here. So when people say avidya is a cause for creation, there is no scriptural authority for it. This is what the anubhava, this is what the experience, and this is what the scriptural understanding of proper analysis of the scriptures. Even though all acharyas agree that Maya is responsible, but Maya is again responsible, karma is again responsible, then karma comes because of the ignorance of the problem, and therefore ignorance becomes related, and ignorance and Maya cannot but be related. Now ignorance is same as Maya, and these are the questions of philosophical debate in the Vedanta, and even in Advaita Vedanta there is the Bhamati school and Vivarana school, where people have disagreed in terms of what is the locus for ignorance. From my point, I am performing an action because I do not know that I am full, already full. You are performing an action because you do not know that you are full. He is performing an action that he doesn't know he is full. So ignorance of me of myself is causing problem for me. Ignorance of your own self for you is causing a problem. Ignorance of somebody else's, their own self, is causing a problem. So in everything it is ignorance. So from my point, it is this self-ignorance is causing a problem, and therefore I am born, and from my analysis wise, ignorance is the root cause for my whole suffering here. But now let's go into a little detail. When my vasanas, when I perform an action because of the ignorance, and ignorance action is for giving vasanas, and the vasanas again actions again give some more vasanas, and this cycle sets up, and that is beginningless cycle. Therefore this anadi avidya is the beginning, the ignorance which is beginningless, and actions which are beginningless, karmas which are beginningless, and therefore this cycle of creation goes on and on and on. Now, going back, my vasanas is creating my world around, and your vasanas creating your world around, and your vasanas due to your ignorance, my vasanas due to my ignorance, and his vasanas is due to his ignorance. So vasanas of myself, yourself together, all vasanas of all beings put together becomes a cause for the creation. Because Lord has to create according to, or at least providing an environment conducive to exhaustive vasanas. So his hands are tied now. He cannot create any way he wants. It is not just a leela. It's not just a sport that he wants to play. He has to play according to the vasanas of samashti vasanas, propelling him to perform an action in this way. If the vasanas are good, the creation will also automatically be good. If the vasanas are bad, the creation will automatically be bad. So we cannot complain why this Lord has created this kind of world, because everything is bad and all things we keep on accusing. But and people dismiss the presence of the Lord himself, because we talking about Lord is nothing but karma paladata. That is the definition of the Lord, who gives the results of the action. Maya Adhyachena Prakriti, he is the guiding principle, formulates this action should give the result depending upon all the factors. This is what is discussed in the 18th chapter, where not only my input, there is a Daivam involved, the God's role is also involved in formulating the results of the action. So now what is Maya and what is Karma? And what is avidya? So my action, my vasanas become a root cause for the creation of myself here and the environment. Your kasanas and the combined kasanas of mine and your becomes a combined environment where you and I have to deal with, and the combined environment of all the beings put together is result of combined vasanas of all people put together. The same way, not only in this loka, all 14 lokas, depending upon the type of loka that I enter into, and those environment is conducively to exhaust the particular vasanas of those jivas that are in that loka. Now, let's join this together. If Maya is the cause for the creation as a Parameshwara Shakti, and Maya itself became many in terms of under his guidance, and that it means is nothing but vasanas themselves. So Maya is nothing but samashti vasanas of all beings put together is Maya. Samashti vasanas are due to the ignorance of all beings put together, because ignorance is the cause for creation. So samashti ignorance of all beings put together is the cause for creation, which is same as avidya, which is same as Maya. Now we have to be clear. Is avidya same as Maya? These are all debatable questions in the Vedanta. Even in Advaita Vedanta, there are differences of acharyas. So in the Bhamati school, the statement is the avidya belongs to a jiva, Maya belongs to Ishvara. All that is there. But here we have to know exactly the situation has to be completely clear for us. From my point, it's my ignorance. From your point, it is your ignorance. From other point, is your ignorance that cause my vasanas, that cause your vasanas. And the samashti vasanas are propelling force for the creation. Therefore, samashti vasanas is same as the Maya. And the Maya is, root cause of Maya itself is avidya, because it is not my ignorance, it is not your ignorance, it is the ignorance of everyone inside the creation contributing it. So my vasanas and my ignorance is removed by my knowledge. Your ignorance has to be removed by your knowledge, because your ignorance, if you try to educate yourself and study Vedanta and realize what you realize, I am Brahmasmi, I am the total that you have recognized, but my ignorance still remains, because you could eliminate your ignorance from your point and reach that, because from your point there is no more vasanas, even though other people's vasanas are there, but you recognize yourself, I am free from my vasanas, therefore there cannot be any life for you. That means you have transcended. That means you have become essentially recognized that you are Brahman. From then on, you are Brahman, and with your presence of Maya, of all ignorance, you are essentially playing the role. So from your point, you can say it is my Leela Vibhuti, but from the point of other people who are inside the creation, they are because of their own vasanas. So all these are self-consistent if you look at it. So is ignorance same as Maya? Ignorance is same as Maya, because its effect of ignorance is the karma, effect of karma is vasanas, and the effect of all vasanas put together is the cause for creation. Therefore, that cause for creation is nothing but Maya, and therefore it is Parameshwara Shakti. When you use it, it is used as he is the one who gives the results of the action. That is his Shakti. So you can say Maya is a power by which Lord gives the results of the actions of all. And the results of the action depends upon the vasanas. So, and vasanas are due to ignorance. Therefore, from each individual point, when I want to know what is this creation, how do I get out of the creation, the scripture says it is your own ignorance is a cause for your creation and the environment you are in. So first, educate yourself and learn, realize that you are the absolute. So when I become absolute, then what happens to others? This question itself, it shows that you are not understood when I say I am the totality. When I am the totality, then I recognize also that I am the adhishthanam. That means I am the very basis in which the whole universe is rising in me, sustained by me, and go back into me. Therefore, you become essentially as though Ishvara, in your say, you can say, Mayadhyakshena prakritihi suyate sacharacharam. So what happens to me? What happens to other people? Other people becomes essentially your own creation itself, and you becomes your Leela or your Vibhuti. That's what this Krishna says in the 10th chapter, before he shows the Virat Purusha in the 11th chapter, says, my Vibhuti, Arjuna, whatever you thought is such great things, they're all my Vibhuti only. In fact, my Vibhuti is limitless. Everything is my own glory only. The flower blooming there, the rose is giving the rose flower, the lotus giving the lotus flower, each tree is giving its own beauty, its own creation, its own vegetable varieties and varieties. That's my glory. Pasyami Yogaishwaram. Look at my glory, Arjuna. And that's how you can also say, once you recognize that I am Brahman, and that is the knowledge. So at that point, what do you say? Oh, this is my own Vibhuti. Says, what about the other people? They are all my own Vibhuti. They are all in me, but I am not in them. Their avasthas, their individual suffering due to their own misconceptions do not affect me, because I am adhishthanam. Atyatishtat dashangulam. Says, sahasrasesha purushaha sahasraksha sahasrapat sabhumim vishvato rutva atyatishtat dashangulam. Says, all sahasrasesha, all heads are me only. That means sahasra means not 1,000, means every head is nothing but my own self. Sahasrasesha purushaha sahasraksha sahasrapat. All eyes are me, all hands are me. So everything is nothing but me. That's exactly what the Purusha Suktam says. Sahasrasesha purushaha sahasraksha sahasrapat sabhuvim vishvato rutva atyatish. This whole creation itself, whom we stand for, the whole creation itself is because of my own glory. But yet, Atyatishtat dashangulam. I am 10 feet, 10 inches above. Angulam means inches above. 10 inches, not literally I am 10 feet standing above the 10 inches. That's a literal meaning. That means I am untouched by what is happening in the world. Therefore, says, even though the world is changing, the Maya, the Avidya, Karma, all those philosophical, the inquiry is coming from the individual point, but from the point of the Lord, I am untouched by any of them. That's exactly what Krishna says. Mayatadabidam sarvam jagat avyakta murtina mastani sarva bhutani nachaham teshu avastitaha. Nacha aham teshu avastitaha. I am not in their individual problems. The ring may have its own problem, bangle may have its own problem, bangle may suffer, hey, I am only small bangle, the other fellow is a big bangle, and this bangle is better than that bangle, and the ring is better, or the necklace is better. All those avasthas are belong to the name and the form. That's only adhishthanam, only superimposed problems on top of what? I am the gold that supports all this, but I am unaffected by the problems of the ring or the problems of the bangle. So therefore, it is a clear understanding that once I recognize that I am self-realization at the individual level, even though all ignorance of other people remain, but from my point, it's not the ignorance anymore, it becomes my own vibhuti, because I am the adhishthanam, I am the very substratum, or I am the very from which the whole universe is coming, universe is rising and going back. That should be the knowledge. Even when I am living in the world as a Jivan Mukta, as is occupying particular body and mind and intellect, I can recognize that I am the totality and still use the body, mind and intellect. That is the glory of a Jivan Mukta Purusha. Now we go into more detail as this becomes clear. So we have addressed what is Maya, what is Avidya, and what is individual Avidya, what is total Avidya also, because the total vasanas comes as a picture, and the total vasanas are due to total actions, and the total actions due to the total Avidya of all individuals put together, and therefore that is becomes a Maya Shakti. So is Maya different from Avidya? In principle it is not. At the same time, we call it a Maya as a karma paladata, as the power to give you the results of the action. Therefore, the whole universe is projected because of that, propelled by Maya. So, Prakriti evacha, the Maya Adhyakshena Prakritihi Suyati, etc. It's projecting the varieties of varieties. That is the total vasanas of all beings put together as the basis of creation, which Krishna calls it as the karma, is the results of the actions of that, which is nothing but vasanas. We go into more details of this analysis, and in the next talk, let's do with the Purnamada. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyati. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.